Greetings, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is SabaSaba Eve, the eve of SabaSaba. Tomorrow is SabaSaba, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. And for those of you who are living under a rock, there are planned protests, nationwide protests tomorrow by the Gen Zs and anyone who shares uh, their view in this, where they shall demonstrate and protest everywhere across the nation, with the concentration being in Nairobi CBD, occupying the State House, okay? State House, where the official residence of the President of the Republic of Kenya, okay, who is currently in a great panic mode. William Samoei Ruto is not sitting pretty wherever he is. So I will get to this. I will get to this in a second. Please, before I get started, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, take a second, just a second. If you haven't subscribed, this channel, we talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So go ahead and subscribe. And the first order of business, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if you don't know, the first order of business is to like the video before even I say anything. Like the video. But let's get to it. President Ruto is in full panic mode over a possible coup tomorrow, given the fact that this SabaSaba is happening. I mean, this thing is brewing. These Gen Zs are not going away. They're not stopping with this protest. And Ruto is in full panic mode. I will tell you why Ruto is in panic mode, okay? Now listen. Reports as it gets in, current reports as it's coming in, is that the Kenyan Defense Forces, the military, is on high alert. They are actually on standby. And actually, some faction of the military have been deployed at the State House to guard the State House, because the Gen Zs have made it very clear that that's the place that they want to occupy. They are going to occupy that the State House, okay? Of course, they are pinheads like that socialite bimbo. What's her name? Esther Passaris, who came out, and Raila Odinga also, and some of these ODM turncoats who just last 2 years ago were the ones who were talking about occupying status. Today they are defending Ruto, and they are coming up talking about all this nonsense about, we are for protest, but there are some places that are protected areas. You cannot go to State House. You cannot go to Parliament. There's some places that you cannot. Just a bunch of baloney, okay? Why didn't they say that previously when they were going to Mandamano before they got into the broad-based government? But that's not what I want to talk about. I don't want to I don't want to give them a shine. I'm not here to talk about the ODM and all those sellouts that have joined Kasongo, okay? Part of the political class. I want to show you why Ruto is scared to death. I will start with a statement by Musalia Mudavadi. I'm sorry I don't have my gadget. If I was on my laptop, I would have brought you the clip and play you the clip. But I'm sure a majority of you listeners heard the statements by Musalia Mudavadi. Musalia Mudavadi, who's the CS of I don't know what exactly his position in this Kasongo government, but I can care less. But anyway, Musalia Mudavadi, he gave there's a video clip of him. He was addressing a couple of people. I don't know if it was a private function or whatever the case is. But Musalia Mudavadi was basically not chastising the Gen Zs, but basically telling the Kenyan folks who are not happy with this regime that, I know you guys have been watching the internet and you are wowed by figures like Ibrahim Traore. And let me tell you something, you young folks. A person who holds a gun or walks with a gun in his waist and talks while he's holding a gun or whatever the case, is someone you don't want to be your leader. Basically saying that, telling the Gen Zs or the Kenyan people who are ready to take out Ruto, telling them that, don't be looking out, don't be fooled or don't look at Ibrahim Traore as a true leader, because he's somebody who rules by the gun, okay? So there'll be no democracy there. So those are not true leaders, okay? So be careful wishing for people like that. Those people are not democratically elected. Basically, just trying to say that Ibrahim Traore, or insinuating that a military leadership, or if you have a military junta, some people will say junta, okay? A military leader will not be ideal leader. Is not somebody who you can trust in. Now, and I ask myself, why would Musalia Mudavadi come out and give a statement like that, saying that, you young folks, stop looking at these people with guns on their waist, because, of course, again, ladies and gentlemen, on the African continent, throughout the African continent, young folks who makes the majority, I'm talking about demographically speaking, when you look at the age group, young Africa in general is full of young people, okay? And they are impressed and inspired by the Sahel movement, the Sahel nations, the military coup d'etats that happen in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, okay? So Musalia Mudavadi with his not three-piece suit, but his suited up, telling us that do not be impressed by these people who are wearing camouflage with guns on their waist. Those are not true leaders, because someone like that you can never have a discussion or a dialogue with, which I found very, very funny. What this nincompoop called Musalia Mudavadi misses is that people are not just excited or inspired by Ibrahim Traore just because he's a military junta. That is not why the young folks, majority of African people, are inspired by him. They like him because of the things he is doing. It is your actions, your policy, how you implement things. Are they beneficial to the people that you seek to lead? Okay? That is the question. We are not impressed by whether the fact that Ibrahim Traore is a military man or not. That's not the issue. Even if Ibrahim Traore was wearing a clown suit, but was implementing the current policies that benefit the Burkinabes, we will still be inspired by him. It is not the fact that he's having a gun. He had to use the gun to take out the colonial puppet that was in place, because he understood, just like I've been telling a lot of Kenyans, that there is you're not going to get an open and a fair, legitimate electoral process if you go to the ballot trying to remove this colonial puppet called Ruto through the ballot paper. In fact, ask anyone. There is no revolution that has been successful through the ballot paper or the ballot box. Go do your research. Go back in history. There's no successful revolution that has happened through the ballot box or ballot paper, through voting. That is a lie. You do not remove a despot, a colonial puppet, through the ballot paper. It's only two ways. Through popular revolution, the people stand up and say, no, you have to go, and speak in the majority. Or you usually have a military coup d'etat, okay? Like in the case of Batista and Fidel Castro, when Castro came from the hills and removed Batista. Even in Burkina Faso and Mali, they took out the colonial puppets that were ruling their respective nations through the gun, because they understood that these colonial puppets had succeeded to divide the public. They stifled any democratic institution that exists, such that the plea and the aspirations of the people, or the voices of the people, is muzzled, because the colonial puppet of the time had made sure they've suppressed freedom of expression, suppressed freedom of speech, suppressed justice, and every avenue that the people could use to speak out against the regime of the time. So it was only reasonable for these military leaders to step in and say, hey, listen, the people have been demanding change, and you've oppressed them and suppressed every avenue in which they can express themselves. And you've managed to bribe, divide, conquer them, pitting them from one group to each other, against each other, in a way that they cannot democratically elect the leader of their choice, because the process in which you can do that has been what? Has been compromised. So Ibrahim Traore came in and said, no. Toka, I'm taking over, because you have successfully suppressed every avenue of expression by the wananchi of the Burkina Faso. Same thing now. You can use that same template in Kenya. What do I mean? That's why when I hear anyone that's saying, let's go 2027, let's vote out Ruto, my blood boils, because you cannot see what's happening. You are being pitted against each other. Luos versus Kikuyus, Luyas versus I don't know what, this versus that. That's why you see the Gachagwas are really ramping up their tribalistic rhetoric, trying to pit the Kalenjin and Luos against the Kikuyus. He's playing as if he's under siege. He's part of this political class, because they want to suppress this expression by the people, dissent by the people who are tired not only of Ruto, but they're tired of the total system which is being ruled and controlled and maintained by the colonial puppets who we refer as to the political class in Kenya, which involves Ruto, Raila, Uhuru, Gachagua, Karua, Kalonzo, Matiangi, and so forth, so forth. You know the drill. They have already controlled everything. Every democratic institution, constitutionally mandated democratic institution in Kenya, in which Kenyans can use to express themselves and get representation, has been suppressed or has been compromised. The power has been usurped by the executive and the political class. Look at the legislative body, which is supposed to be representing us and also doing oversight. Look at them, whether it's senatorial aspect of it or the parliamentarian section of it. They've all been bought one way or the other. Okay? If you look at the it's either their opposition, this fake opposition who are also part of the problem, or they are in pro-government, like the Azimio and the idiots from ODM. Or you have those clowns and idiots who are running around in Western Kenya today, like the Matiangis and Martha Karua and the rest of them, and Gachagua. Because if you look at all of them in totality, if you group them together, these people, if you look at their track record, they have never done anything to represent the Kenyan people, nothing to benefit the Kenyan people. That's why they're resorting to one thing that has always worked for them, which is what? Tribalism. That's why you see Gachagua is ramping up this whole idea of we are under siege as Kikuyus, and is speaking vehemently against the regime of the day. Oh, we are being targeted. We are being killed. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that there have been youth from Central Province who have been gunned down through extrajudicial killings, unjustifiably. But he's using that to play into this narrative that he wants to push, that there's political tension between what? Community A and ethnic group B. Okay? That is what he's pushing. That's why he wants to claim this Gen Z movement. And on the other side, you see the government is actually trying to point a finger at Gachagua as if he is the one who is in control of these Gen Zs. Because they want to muddy the waters, make this Gen Z a tribal movement, while it's not. We saw in Nyanza province when the young people demonstrated that they are not with this regime. They do not care about the leaders of the ODM who are butt-licking Ruto's ass crack. Even Kaluma and Raila Odinga dare not attend Ojwang's funeral because they understood the anger from the ground. This is not a struggle of the Kikuyu or the Luos or one nation, or one tribe. This is a struggle of all Kenyans, of all age group and all generations. So here it is, back to my point. It is interesting that Musalia Mudavadi mentioned, basically saying that do not get excited by a military rule. What made Musalia Mudavadi? That's why I always ask you, when somebody says something, the first question you should ask yourself is, why are they saying what they're saying? Why? Why are they saying what they're saying? What made Musalia Mudavadi say, you young folks, I don't know why you are Ninio. Or did I miss the context in which he was speaking? He is well aware that tomorrow is SabaSaba. Is it not? Isn't he? Has he received any information that there is a possibly coup d'etat in Kenya? Military coup d'etat? Or is he worried that actually this SabaSaba popular revolution by the Jay-Z might be successful? This Occupy State House 2025 movement. That is what you should ask yourself. Why did Musalia Mudavadi say that you people of Kenya stop this admiration of men with guns, military men, ruling you as leaders? That these are people that you cannot negotiate with. No shit. We don't care about a benevolent dictator. If we can have a military leader who takes out Ruto and forms new government and does the things that Ibrahim Traore did, namely increase production, cut off from the IMF, cut off from the Western colonial puppets, take measures and implement policies that detach us, divorce us, Kenya, from the Western tentacles of economic oppression, going down the path of self-reliance, economic freedom, true economic freedom, moving millions of youth and men and women up the social economic ladder. We won't mind even if that leader is wearing a circus clown's outfit or a military fatigue or a three-piece suit. You understand what I'm saying? Whether he's carrying a gun everywhere he goes. Fidel Castro, he had his military outfit, revolutionary outfit, only in a few occasions when he wore a suit or whatever the case is. But he would wear his military outfit for the most of his rule before he died. But he revolutionized the healthcare system in Cuba, which is undeniably one of the best in the world, if not the best. I mean, we have people from America and everywhere else are running to Cuba because of the healthcare there, the healthcare system that they have in Cuba. You understand? So the problem is not what you wear and the gun that you carry. Okay? But going back to Musalia Mudavadi, the reasons why I'm telling you something is cooking, something is serious. Okay? Is, again, the fact that Musalia Mudavadi was urging the people to be careful with this idea of having a military junta take over from power. Now, again, I mentioned to you that there are reports now, it's been reported that the military, KDF, they have been told to be on standby. They're on high alert. And some of them have been deployed to go guard the State House. Because as you remember, these young folks have decided State House ndio pale watakula lunch kesho. That's the aim. They're going to the State House. They're not, nothing is going to stop them. And from what you saw last 25th on last month, the police were not well equipped to deal with these protesters. They could barely keep up. That's why I keep on saying, if these protests, if they can go 3 days, even 3 days, Ruto will run. Because these guys, even 1 day, they can't handle it. Unaona polisi wanakimbia, they're running out of, well, I remember there's one time like the June 25th, they ran out of water. Ile maji mwagia watu. They ran out of tear gas. They will run out of bullets. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine going out, that's 1 day and they're already panicking, and we made it to this, to the parliament. This past June 25th, they made it to the State House, outside State House. They didn't get in, but they made it thereabouts. Okay? So imagine if they were to go for 3 days, consecutive days, where they go to downtown CBD and they say, we are not moving until Ruto step down. Guess what will happen? Guess what will happen? Ruto will have to go. That's what I mean. But anyway, so 2 things that indicate that Ruto is in full panic mode over a possible coup d'etat, or let me say coup tomorrow, SabaSaba, is 1, the fact that the military are on high alert and some of them have been deployed to go guard the State House. 2, Musalia Mudavadi's pronouncements, trying to dissuade, talk the Gen Zs from this SabaSaba, and saying that they shouldn't be looking at people like Ibrahim Traore as leaders. That is a smell of fear. Rick's fear. Number three, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. Number 3, and it's escaping me. I wish I wrote it down. Look at the opposition, the people associated with Ruto. I mean, so yeah, the Ruto regime. Why are they quick trying to pass these laws that limit movement or protests? Even Raila Odinga right now, somebody who has been seen as the face of Mandamano, is in panic mode because he's finding himself on the wrong side of history. And now, if you look at his statements, whether from yesterday, the day before that, and today, the guy seems like he's lost control, because remember, he's the guy who always comes in and saves the regime of the day. He intervened in 2017 when the people decided to actually swear him in as the people's president. Okay? And remember, during the swearing in, the next move after this being sworn in was they were supposed to go to State House and remove Ruto. So this idea of going to State House is not a new one. Okay? It has always been in the works in every protest against an oppressive regime. Okay? So, like I said, remember, look at Raila Odinga, the guy who is said to be the savior of this corrupt regime, who always comes and make deals and pretends that he's speaking on behalf of the protesters. This guy is in panic mode. The other day he said, you guys will remember me for putting the country together, bringing peace, or whatever the case is. That's a sign of somebody who is detected that is sensing that he's losing control. Because remember, these Gen Zs are not his staunch supporters. Majority of Kenyans who, always aspired for a new Kenya, they've always looked at Raila Odinga as the face of the Kenyan opposition, the guy who will actually bring change. But after these past years, not only this handshake, but the previous handshake, people are gradually seeing that this guy is actually a scum. He's a total scum. He's a faker. He's part of the system. He's a colonial puppet who has been masquerading as the face of the opposition. So his final nail in the coffin when he came into a handshake in this blood-based or broad-based government that he entered with Ruto, that was his final nail in the coffin. He nailed himself in there, showing Kenyans that he doesn't care about what they have to do. Now he's trying to claw back by talking about all this protest, SabaSaba, me and Kibaki and Ruby, whatever. We're the one who started this SabaSaba. The SabaSaba was all about, I don't know, going to Kamkunji grounds and airing our views. He's trying to redefine what SabaSaba is about. He's trying to control what these Gen Zs should do during this SabaSaba movement, because he is witnessing the shift of power moving from these political elites and moving back to the people. Nobody cares about him anymore. He saved himself from embarrassment from not attending that Ojwang's funeral. He understood that he will be publicly humiliated if he did that. You understand? That's why he had to do that. So that's why I'm telling you guys, this is a sign. That's the third sign that Ruto might not be in a good place, because the main guy who actually made him survive from the last, remember that June 25th when Raila Odinga came in and joined in and they, saved him. And that's why let me connect the dots, right? It's coming to me while I speak, ladies and gentlemen. Brother say, oh, SabaSaba. Let me help you right now. Remember, in June 25th last year, when the Gen Zs occupied parliament, remember that, right? And remember when Raila told us afterwards that the military were going to take over because the Gen Zs were uncontrollable. They already took over the parliament and they were going to march to State House. So what the state did, Ruto, what the political class did was to unleash every arsenal at their disposal to detour the plans, subvert the plans of the Gen Zs. How did they do that? Do that? Number one, they did that by using Boniface Mwangi and the Hanifas to go out there and tell people, please don't go to the State House, mtauliwa. That's number one. Number two, they used the goons. Remember, and I'll connect this, highlight that word goons. The goons that they told to go out there in the streets to start attacking the Gen Zs and committing horrific acts against the Gen Zs and against Izi Maduka and all this stuff. Okay? In order to scare off the Gen Zs. Remember, these Gen Zs guys, majority of them have never been on these protests. Okay? A major protest like the one that happened on June 25th. Remember that? So they were going there with a good intention, not to cause harm, not to have a confrontation with the police or to burn any property or destroy any property. They were actually going out there to protest the finance bill. But it turned into, we are going to occupy parliament. Then after that, we were going to occupy State House. These guys were peaceful. They were only holding a flag of Kenya and a water bottle. Okay? So what the state did, since they lost control, the police were overwhelmed by the number of the protesters that were going down in the streets. What they did was this. They infiltrated the protest by sending goons, majority of them, some of them by Sakaja, some of them by Raila goons and other goons, okay, who are wearing civilian clothes, to go and disrupt the protest, robbing the protest, intimidating the protest, beating up the protest, just to scare them off, because these young folks have never been out there like that. And some of them have never witnessed atrocities of any kind, police brutality or any kind of crime. So they were sending these goons to intimidate them, okay, in order to scare them off. And as soon as they succeeded in subverting the Gen Z's plans of not going to State House, after the Hanifas and the Boniface Mwangi, this NIS pro-government pretenders that are pretending that they are with the people. Once they succeeded, and we know what happened in Gudurai, okay, at night. Once this happened, they came up with this idea that any future protest, they will try to infiltrate it with goons to intimidate the people who are going to the streets. That's why you saw the last protest in June 25th was greatly infiltrated by goons who are there to intimidate these protesters, trying to rob them, beat them up, and cause these atrocities and blame it on Gen Zs, then blame it on Gachagua and the people of Mount Kenya. You see how they're playing it. And meanwhile, Raila, once they survived that June 25th, 2024, they brought in Raila quickly. Okay? They brought in Raila Odinga. Why did they bring in Raila Odinga? So that they can secure that aspect of Gen Zs that always support Raila Odinga, the town supporters. Remember the Raila Odinga faction? These are people they've been protesting, they're politically charged. Okay? So by bringing Raila Odinga, he's now Ruto and the regime and Raila Odinga are using the ODM folks, the Azimio folks, to help the government in infiltrating this Gen Z movement by doing the very things that I'm telling you. Intimidating them, committing crimes against them, wanafanya hizi vitu mob hivi. So it was tu hawa vijana waogope. Okay? Thank you so much, Gypsy Corner, for liking and sharing. Shima Riyama, can see you there also For all of you who are watching, please like the video, and subscribe. So I'm trying to tell you how they're doing it. After June 25th, 2024, the government, the political class, they deemed it fit not only to infiltrate the Gen Z movement protest within itself. That's why you see Sakaja na wale watu walikuwa na rungu. Some of them also are behaving as protesters, and they wanajifanya hao ndio naimba hapo kwa protest, but they're actually working for the government. Unaona? Okay? That's why you see the September 25th one of this year was not, it was successful to some extent. Unaelewa? That is a tactic they've used. June 25th, 2024 was the day Ruto was going to be removed. He understands. Listen to me very carefully. I want to speak to you very carefully. Okay? And very candid with you. The police force in Kenya are not equipped, and they don't have enough police force to stop the Gen Z's protest from happening. They cannot stop the Gen Z's from going to State House. I'm telling you right now. Naambia saizi na mnisikia vizuri. This was demonstrated even in June 25th this year. Hii ilipita hii mwaka jana hii wiki, a week or 2 weeks ago. The police force are not, hata alete police force kutoka Eldoret awalete hapa. They cannot contain the Gen Z's. Now listen to me very carefully. I've told you, number one, the reason why Ruto is smelling defeat and is scared to death is reason one, matamshi ya nani, ya Musalia Mudavadi. Reason number two, the fact that the military are on high alert, and some of them have been deployed to go protect the State House. Reason number three, Raila Odinga statement, which basically confirms that he is acknowledging the fact that Kenyans are no longer looking at him, and he has no control of the Kenyan folks in Mandamano, because traditionally Raila Odinga has always have control of Mandamano. Akitoka anasema Tuesday, watu wanaenda kwa streets Tuesday. Akisema watu wanaenda Thursday, watu wanaenda Thursday. But this time he has no control over that. Ndio maana unaona saizi Raila Odinga ameanza kusema, oh, you will remember me when I leave, when I'm long gone mtani miss. Sijui you'll appreciate the peace that I used to bring. Oh, sijui nini, ati sijui mimi na Rubia na Kenneth Matiba, we did not intend for this ninio, for this SabaSaba ikuwe SabaSaba ya chaos. And who told him it is about chaos? Unaona, that's another sign that this political class know that mambo shit is hitting the fan, and they're losing control. Like I told you, the Kenyan police are not equipped or trained or skilled or have the manpower to contain the Gen Z's. If the Gen Z's wakitoka, siri ni numbers, wakisema tunaenda huko State House, ni State House wataenda na kuna mtu atawastopisha. And that's what terrifies Ruto, Raila, and all the rest of them. And I've told you the method in which they are using this. Now, another method, na mimi nawaambianga hii method mapema. Mukisema kuna SabaSaba au ninio, SabaSaba ni Monday, tafadhali fikeni Nairobi mapema. CBD mufike mapema. Do you know there's a bunch of youth who are coming from Mombasa, ile summer festival ama nini ilikuwa inafanyika Diani Beach. They were making their way to Nairobi. They are coming from Mombasa, wanarudi Nairobi. Wamesimamishwa na polisi, wanaambiwa hamwezi kuingia Nairobi. Hamwendi Nairobi, ati mnaenda wapi? Yeah? Do you know that news? Mumesikia hiyo habari? Nauliza kwa chat hapo, mkiwa chat, hata nyinyi ambao mnasikia hapo hapo nyumbani. Did you hear that news? Those kids that went to walienda ile festival huko Diani Beach, huko ni Diani ama wapi huko Mombasa, huko Coast Province. Sasa wanajaribu kurudi Nairobi, Nairobi imefungwa. Wamesimamishwa na polisi, wameambiwa mnaenda wapi? Nobody is going to Nairobi because of SabaSaba. Duka zimefungwa. Muriona hiyo? Endeni mkaangalie kwa news. It is being reported right now. Ruto is nakwambia uoga imewashika. And I've always maintained, I've told you this, because Nairobi will always be the heartbeat of any political protestation. It's the epicenter of siasa kali ya Kenya. It is the stage where everything happens. So what does the government do? The first thing they do is seal off any entrance into Nairobi, the province, watch at CBD. Whether it's Thika Road, whether it's Mombasa Road, whether it's what road, watafunga yote, wanafunga. And I've been telling you guys this. Now take an example. I want to work with me. I want to chambue siasa. I'm your political dietitian. Nataka mpate nutrients ya siasa vizuri. Ndio muelewe vile siasa inaendelewa. Mimi nawaambia Ruto, kesho nawaambia, listen to me very carefully. Take an example of what happened. It has happened in Kenya before. Let me give you an example. Na mimi huwapatia example every time. Take na mulike video tafadhali. Msiangalie tu. Learn something and like the video. I'm sweating like an old slave. So mulike video. Ndio mwelewe vile siasa inaendelea. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. In 2017, I want to use that example. When Raila supporters who claimed that Raila aliibiwa dinio, and they wanted to take out Ruto, they wanted to go to State House. Walikuwa wanataka kuapisha Raila Odinga. Remember that, the famous swearing in as the people's president. They announced the date and the venue. And guess what Uhuru Kenyatta did? Kenyatta, he told the police forces, GSU na kadhalika, go seal off every entrance into Nairobi. Mufunge yote. Mufunge yote. Na walisema Uhuru Park is a no-go zone. Nobody should go to Uhuru Park. In fact, the day before, walienda wakaeka nyuki huko, if you remember. Yeah? But listen, people are being ferried from Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, wapi. They were going to Nairobi in buses, in volumes. Matatu, gari ndogo ndogo, lorry. People are saying, enough is enough, Raila mpaka apishwe. And they overwhelmed the police. Wale polisi walikuwa wamesimama pale ati wanajaribu kuwasimamisha ati msiingie Nairobi. There were so many wakasema, wewe, hiyo bunduki, I hope you have enough bullets to shoot all of us. Because ukiua watu wawili hivi, tukikushika, ni wewe na tutakupeleka Zayun. And the police had no option but to let them go. Wakafika Nairobi, ndani. So the same thing, Ruto is deploying the same method. Ruto ameshikwa na uoga. He's sealing off every entrance into Nairobi. With, I think, my presumption is, with special concentration to Central Province. Mtu yote anatoka Central anataka kuingia Nairobi leo, hata ingia. Wanajaribu kufanya hivyo. That is their game plan. That is what they are working on. Unaelewa? So that is also a clear sign to you that Ruto ameshikwa na uoga. Ruto is scared. Ruto is scared. Unaona? Again, I will reiterate for you. Ndio uelewe kitu nasema. Signs that Ruto is scared. Musalia Mudavadi talking about a possible, insinuating, not directly, kwa sababu Musalia Mudavadi anasema hivi, muache kuangalia nini? Muache kuangalia mtu kama Ibrahim Traore as a possible leader. Basically implying that Kenya might be seeking a leader, an overthrow of the head of state, who is Ruto. Number two, the fact that he has deployed a faction of the military to go guard the State House. Shows me that this guy is in panic mode. Number 3, the person who always comes to his rescue, who always subverts the will of the people. Saa zile watu wako na hasira sana, yeye ndiye anajiweka hapo ati yeye ndio the overall controller wa hii movement ya opposition ya kutoa the regime at hand. The person Raila Odinga, conman mwenyewe, who always anakuja na usurp the leadership of this opposition, anajiposition ni kama yeye ndiye alikuanga the voice of the opposition, alafu anawaambia poeni, don't do anything to this government. Wacha mimi niende nikazungumze hapo nitengeneze mambo, alafu unapata naingia kwa government. Na kisha ingia kwa government, sasa nawaambia msijali, tunatengeneza serikali sasa. I've donated my experts and all this bullshit that he always talks about, and he starts enjoying the knee of the state. Unaona, na alilipo na ile pesa alikuwa anajifanya ati anaenda AU. That money was hiyo money walikuwa nasema ni campaign. That is the payment for him getting into this broad-based government. But now the reason why I'm telling you mambo imechacha is the fact that Raila is coming out making this pronouncement. SabaSaba was not about Neo. Juzi alisema ati this protest ati mnafaa museme mnaenda kuprotest hapa from time X to time X alafu murudi nyumbani. Okay? Basically, Raila Odinga is showing and is acknowledging the fact that he has lost control of the people who he has always enjoyed support from and always obey his directives. Raila 2017 alisema poeni. Wacha niingie na nionge nikapoeshe Uhuru Kenyatta. Watu wanapoa. 2008 ngojeni Kibaki, tunakaa chini tunatengeneza government, tutachange constitution. Watu wanapoa. 2022 anasema poeni azimio tuingie NADCO, wacha nipange Ruto hapo, tupange hivi ndio maisha iende chini, we shall improve the economy nikiingia huko nikishapoesha Ruto. What have we seen? Nothing. Gen Z wakaingia as soon as waka-infiltrate, alafu mambo ikapoa, akaingia broad base using his usual tricks in the hopes that people will still be listening to him. But this time the Gen Zs have said that watasimama imara. They are not listening to his bullshit anymore. And he knows that he has no voice with the people. Watu wameamua State House ni lazima pende sipende. Yeah, Google it. Mudavadi amesema. Yeah, so that is a sign that huyu jamaa ana uoga. Then the other sign, the last one, which is clear. Ruto ameanza kusimamisha vijana. Anyone that's going to CBD or Nairobi, the province, the city, mnaanza kuangaliwa. Mnaenda kufanya nini Nairobi? Kesho ni SabaSaba. What is taking you to Nairobi? He's stopping people. If he sees a group of people wanaenda Nairobi, he's stopping them. The guy is in full panic mode. Siri ni numbers. Tukienda in numbers, there's nothing Ruto Samoei Kipchirchir can do to stop the Kenyan people. Na wakiamua na mto atatolewa. They've tried everything. I'm telling you, these people ndio maana unaona hata nani wanasema ati sasa they might be arresting Gachagua. Hiyo ni tu vipindi so that to deepen this tribal ethnic tension, distraction, kwa sababu wamejua Kenyans are standing up united in their dissatisfaction, in their quest for justice, not only economic justice against the atrocities that have been committed against them, whether it's extrajudicial killings, whether it's the corruption, whether it's the abductions, okay? and all manner of crime that has committed against the Kenyan people. Wameona hii kitu cannot stand. It is not about tribe. It is you folks who are in the political class. The Kenyan bourgeoisie, the colonial puppets, the ones that take their orders from Washington, D.C. and Buckingham Palace. Hao wakina Raila, hao wakina Uhuru, hao wakina Gachagua, hao wakina Matiang'i, hao wakina Martha Karua, hao wakina Kalonzo, hao wakina Matiang'i, hao wakina Kalonzo, Wamalwa. We are not buying, we are not going. Mpaka mutolewe. But we shall first start by the mascot that represent you clowns, you corrupt political class, which is Ruto Kipchirchir Asamoei. Yeye ndio tunaanza naye. Then we come to the rest of you. Munaelewa? That is what's happening in Kenya. Yes. Yesterday, Gypsy Kone saying, yesterday they buried 20 Gen Z in Muranga. Sorry about the spelling. And 15 Gen Z in Kirinyaga. Not even the local media talking about the disadvantaged. May our brothers and sisters rest in peace. I told you. Remember I told you guys 2 videos ago. Niliwambia watu wa Mount Kenya, your youth will be sacrificed. They will be scapegoated. And they're being sold out. Not only by your leaders, but by the government. The political class. Hao ndio watakuwa they'll be pointing, they'll be blamed for being these Gen Zs. Because already you hear the narrative that this Gen Zs is a Mount Kenya movement. Unaona? That's a way of shifting blame, demonizing a community. Unaona? Kenyans are dissatisfied, whether they are in Nyanza, Coast, Ukambani, Garissa, whatever. It just so happens that the passion is running high in Mount Kenya region. And they might be the ones spearheading this. Unaelewa? But I've told you, for any young folks, Gen Z ambao mnatoka huko Unenio, Central, speak valiantly, passionately, loudly, boldly. Remind everyone that this is a national movement. Don't let them demonize, victimize you guys. Yes. Wanataka kuwatumia. Okay? So that is the way to go. He had to shout like Raila votes how? Jumana naambia hao majamaa wako na uoga. Wako na uoga. They are terrified. They are terrified. They are terrified by this SabaSaba. There's something in the air. There's a smell of a revolution ready to happen in Kenya. It's about to happen, folks. It is about to happen. Inakaribia. Because it seems like our Gen Z are not giving up. They're not giving up. Hata ikuwa SabaSaba. My only tiff that I have with Gen Z is that hii maandamano haifanywi kila siku. That's the only thing. Like I told you, hao watu wanaenda Gen Z siku moja and it already paralyzes Ruto's government. Wanatetemeka, wanaruka huku, wanataka kuua watu, wana abduct sijui nani, hata wajue wana abduct nani. Just here maandamano ya siku moja. So imagine hawa majenzi wakienda maandamano siku 3 mfululizo. How do you think these people will they survive? Hawa majamaa cannot survive. That's why I'm telling you. Let's not give up. Tuendelee. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters and friends and brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, let me recap. Signs that Ruto is in full panic mode over a possible coup tomorrow. Number one, the fact that Mudavadi came out and is trying to convince not only the Kenyan people not to consider a rule by someone who wields a gun like Ibrahim Traore. Does he know something that we don't know? Has he received any kind of intelligence that the military might take over in case the SabaSaba movement tomorrow is successful? In the event the Gen Zs take over power tomorrow, makes it to State House, and declare Ruto persona non grata in Kenya, and says Ruto is no longer the president of the Republic of Kenya, does that mean that the military will take over? What if the people of Kenya tomorrow, being led by the Gen Zs, are successful in take over State House? What if the military that have been deployed to guard State House turn and support the Gen Zs in occupying the State House? Will that mean that Ruto has officially been dethroned? What will that mean? Because historically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, historically speaking, when the people show up, just like Mugabe in Harare, the people of Zimbabwe went to the State House of Zimbabwe to protest against Mugabe's rule. And they stayed there for days. And Mugabe, when his police forces failed to contain the crowd, he called on the military. And the military showed up with tanks and all these sorts of things. And the military could not stop the people. So the military joined the protesters. After several exchanges, they shook hands. They were joking, sharing jokes with the members of the public, the people. And finally, military defied the orders of Robert Mugabe. And they went to the State House and told Mugabe, the people have decided, you have to step down. There's no way if it's or buts about it. You have to step down. The people have spoken and we cannot shoot them down. These are our comrades. These are our brothers and sisters. So could it be, like I said, historically speaking, the members of the military have never turned their backs on the majority of people when the people showed up in numbers. Just like Bangladesh. The prime minister there ordered the police to shoot down the protesters, the university kids. And they shot them, thinking that that will stop them. And the police were working overnight, all double shifts, round the clock, shooting, chasing these young folks, the people. And finally, these police were exhausted. They ran out of ammunition. They ran out of gas. They were hungry. They had no food. They could not contain the people. So the president ordered the military to go intervene since the police were overwhelmed, hungry, tired, and gave up. So the military went to the streets, and when the military got there, the military started greeting the people. And the military are ideally not trained to deal with civilians. They looked at the crowd and they looked at their brothers and sisters. And they respected the sovereign will of the people. And they went back to the palace and told the Bangladeshi prime minister and told her, listen, the people have spoken and the people hold the sovereign will of the nation. They have decided that you have to step down. So we are giving you this military helicopter. Pack up your stuff, you and your family and your relatives, and you can fly to the country of your choosing. And that's how the Bangladeshi People's Revolution succeeded. So could it be, if the Gen Zs make it to the State House and the military will be there? Remember, another rookie mistake that Ruto did was to end the subsidized lunch of the junior military officers. This, I'm sure, did not sit well with the military. If I'm working for the state, the nation, things like meals, uniform, housing, transportation, fuel should be subsidized because I'm working for the nation. For example, in the United States, and I'm sure in UK and other places, these advanced democracies, if you're on active duty while you're working for the military, okay? If you're in, for example, Fort Bragg or whatever the case is, while you're there, the vehicle that you use, the gas that you put, the uniform that you wear, the meals that you eat, everything is paid for by the government. Regardless of whether you are a 4-star, 5-star general or you are a junior officer. So the mistake that Ruto made was to make these junior officers paid for their meal. And I'm sure these guys are not happy about that. Strike one. So in the event, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. In the event the people make their way in front of the State House and say, we are not leaving until Ruto resigns. What if the military join the people? Because like I told you again, in after June 25th, when it was Occupy JKIA, remember, the police in Nairobi were overwhelmed. Ruto called the military. And when the military got to the ground, they started exchanging pleasantries with the people, greeting each other. And the people were singing, we are with Majeshi, tuko na Majeshi. And even the military provided security while the people were walking back to their neighborhoods. It is the military who are telling the police to stop shooting at the Wananchi at the pipeline. It is the military who are getting along with the people. So could it be a huge mistake by Ruto by deploying members of the military to go guard the State House? Or did he choose his most trusted people from his backyard, deadly people who are willing to die for him, to guard the State House? What will happen when that confrontation happens? What will happen? Excuse me. So, again, I say, the first reason why Ruto is in full panic mode over a possible coup tomorrow, SabaSaba, is number one, Mudavadi hinting at a possible military man leading the country by giving an example saying that people should not look at military men or juntas as leaders. Two, the fact that He has deployed a faction of the military to go guard State House. Shows me that he's panicking. What happened to his barbed wire? Barbed wire haikutosha? So that's a second reason why it shows this guy is terrified. He's scared to death. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow you'll hear that Ruto will be flying into Cameroon for a state visit somewhere. He's always conveniently absent during a nationwide mandamano because he understands the possibility of a coup. Reason number 3, his staunch defender, his savior, the guy who has always brokered peace between an agitated crowd and the oppressive regime, the biggest conman in Kenyan politics, Raila Odinga, is saying, without not so many words, that he basically has no control over the Gen Zs. He can't talk them down into not going to this protest, not going to State House. He's giving us his farewell bid. Oh, you'll miss me. Oh, when I leave, you'll miss me. Giving us good old stories about the good old days when they went to SabaSaba with the, I don't know. Oh, SabaSaba was not about destruction of property and just going, just a bunch of nonsense. Nobody's trying to hear what Raila has to say because he has proven time after time again that he is not for the Kenyan people. He is part of the problem. He only goes to Mandamano when he wants to blackmail the oppressive regime of the day, when he wants a position. Okay? Then number 4, the fact that Ruto, through his police forces, is trying to limit movement of people not to go to Nairobi. I gave you an example of the news report that there are some young people who are leaving that in Mombasa, that festival, music festival in Mombasa, that were making their way back to Nairobi. They have been stopped by the police. Wameambiwa hamwezi kuingia hapa, mnaenda wapi? Absolutely. Those are the very signs that this guy is worried, scared to death, scared shitless. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, I will leave it here. It's been an hour. I would like to shout out everyone on the comment section and everybody who has been watching as we wait to see and continue following what is unraveling in this great nation of Kenya. Thank you so much, Annie. I haven't seen you for a while. Nice seeing you, Bruce. Yagdev, also. I haven't seen you for a while. Nice seeing you, brother. Gypsy Kora, as kama kawaida. I haven't seen you for a while. Mariamu, Mariamu. Thank you so much. I haven't seen you for a while. So everybody, make sure you subscribe. For those of you who are going to this Mandamano, please, be safe. Do not go by yourself. Go with a group. There's safety in numbers. Siri in numbers. We are going to take out this political class and we are going to start with their mascot, Ruto. Viva, comrades. This has to happen. He has no choice. SabaSaba. Let's see what happens tomorrow. For those of you who are going to watch and repeat, please take a moment, like, subscribe, share, comment, and create other spaces and go to other channels and discuss how, if you're on the ground, how you're going to go about that day tomorrow. The D-Day is tomorrow, SabaSaba. I will be here. I will come live and we'll have a discussion about what transpires. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. I will see you later. Maybe I might come in later, or if I don't, tomorrow I will come in during the SabaSaba. So thank you so much, guys. Be safe and put God first. God bless. Thank you so much and be blessed. I'm out.